Namaste, my friends. Life is a gift, a journey, a beautiful unfolding. But sometimes life tests us in ways that shake the very foundation of our being. Losing a spouse, there are no words for the emptiness that follows. It's a silence so deep that even your own heartbeat feels lonely. The home that once echoed with laughter now whispers memories. The future that you imagined together suddenly seems like a story paused mid sentence. But today, I want to share something very important. Losing a spouse does not mean losing your life, your joy, or your ability to love again. Even after profound grief, it is possible to thrive, to rediscover meaning, and to embrace life fully. The journey is not simple, but it is possible, and I will show you how through three secrets illustrated by real life stories of ordinary people who discovered extraordinary resilience. Secret 1: allow yourself to grieve, feel the pain fully. The first step in healing is often misunderstood. People say, you have to be strong, move on. But my friends, strength is not denial, strength is embracing your emotions fully. I want to tell you about Mrs. Anita, a woman I met in Mumbai. She had been married for 40 years to a man who was not only her companion but her anchor. When he passed away, she felt as though her world had collapsed. The first few weeks, she avoided entering the bedroom, seeing his clothes, or even walking past the garden they had planted together. It was as if the very memories were too heavy to carry. One evening, after weeks of retreating, Anita decided to sit in their bedroom. She held her husband's sweater, let the tears flow, and spoke aloud, as if he was still listening. She wrote letters, sharing her day, her fears, and her memories. She laughed at their old jokes and cried at the quiet moments they had shared. It was not instant healing, but something shifted. Her grief became a bridge rather than a prison. By allowing herself to feel, she began to honor the love they shared, and through that honor, she began to heal. Friends, grief is love. It is proof that you cared deeply, that you loved with all your heart. Suppressing grief may seem like strength, but it is a slow form of suffering. Feeling grief fully, allowing yourself to cry, to remember, and even to speak to your loved one is the first act of resilience. A practical way to do this is to create a daily ritual. Light a candle, look at a photograph, write a letter, or even sit in silence and speak aloud to your spouse. Let your emotions flow without judgment. Over time, your tears will no longer just carry sorrow, they will carry love, gratitude, and acceptance. Remember, grief is not the opposite of joy, it is part of the same journey. By embracing it fully, you open the door to true healing. Secret 2: find a purpose beyond yourself. Once grief has been acknowledged, the next step is often the hardest: finding purpose beyond your own pain. Life after loss can feel like a void, like a room stripped bare. But this emptiness is not the end, it is fertile ground for growth. Consider Mr. Ramesh, a man I met in Delhi. He lost his wife suddenly, and for months he barely spoke, barely moved. One day he asked me, how do I continue living without her? I told him the best way to honor her life is to find a purpose that continues the values she cherished. Ramesh started volunteering at a local school. He helped children read, mentored struggling families, and shared his wisdom with young people. Initially, it was just a distraction, but slowly he noticed a shift. Helping others did not erase his grief, it transformed it. Each act of service became a tribute to the love and values his wife had cherished: kindness, compassion, and empathy. Purpose is not about distraction, it is about reclaiming your life through meaningful action. It reminds us that life is bigger than our own sorrow. It calls us forward even when the heart wants to retreat. You can find purpose in many ways: mentoring, volunteering, creating art, or even learning something new. Each act becomes a seed slowly growing into a garden of meaning and joy. By channeling your energy into something bigger than yourself, your grief becomes a compass guiding you toward growth and resilience. Think of purpose as a bridge between your past and your future. It doesn't replace your spouse, it honors them by allowing the love and values you shared to continue in the world. Secret 3: embrace community and connection. Finally, the third secret: you cannot thrive in isolation. After loss, it is tempting to withdraw. We say, no one can understand me, no one can fill this void. But connection is medicine. Humans are wired for love, for shared experience. Isolation deepens grief, community nurtures healing. Mrs. Mira, a widow in her 70s, initially retreated into her home, staring at photographs of her life. Loneliness was overwhelming. A neighbor suggested she join an art group, and reluctantly she went. She discovered a world of shared stories, laughter, tears, and creativity. Through community, she found joy again, not by forgetting her spouse, but by rediscovering her own capacity to love, laugh, and live. Connection doesn't erase loss. It reminds us that while one chapter has ended, the story continues. Friends, family, neighbors, even strangers can be anchors in the storm of grief. Join a group, attend a class, volunteer. Share your story. Listen to others. Laugh, cry, and live together. Community teaches that grief is part of a shared human experience. It reminds us we are never truly alone. Through these bonds, life begins to feel full again, even after loss. Conclusion, my dear friends, as we come to the close of this conversation, I want you to take a deep breath and feel this truth in your heart. Losing a spouse does not mean losing your life, your purpose, or your ability to love again. The love you shared is eternal, it continues to live through your memories, through you actions, and through the kindness you share with the world. Grief, as heavy as it feels, is not the end, it is a passage. It is the echo of a heart that loved deeply. And just as a seed must endure the darkness of soil before it blooms into a tree, your heart too must pass through the darkness before it opens to new light. Allow yourself to feel, to grieve, to remember. Let your tears wash the pain, and let the love behind those tears remind you of the bond you shared. Then, find purpose that stretches beyond your sorrow. Serve, create, teach, or simply be a source of light to others. In doing so, you honor not only your spouse, but the deepest values of your own heart. And finally, do not walk this journey alone. Embrace the warmth of connection. Lean on friends, family, and community. Share your story. Listen to others. Let laughter, compassion, and human connection guide you back to joy. Remember, my friends, life may never be exactly as it was, but it can be beautiful in a new way, a deeper way, a richer way. Pain and love coexist, loss and hope coexist. And your resilience, your courage, and your willingness to continue living fully is the greatest tribute you can give, not just to yourself, but to the person you lost. So, as you step forward, carry this wisdom with you. Grieve fully, because love deserves to be felt. Find purpose, because your heart still has much to give. Connect deeply, because life is meant to be shared. And in these three steps, you will discover a truth that is life changing. Even after the deepest loss, you can thrive. You can smile again. You can love again, not in forgetting, but in transforming the love into something that lights your path forward. As Rumi said so beautifully, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Let your wound open to light. Let your loss become a doorway, not a barrier. And let your life, once again, be filled with meaning, joy, and the quiet, enduring beauty of love that never dies. Thank you, my friends, and may peace, courage, and love walk with you every single day.